Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the second part of language around us topic. So we knew that language has different terms. As we discussed in the first video, the language is called as a mother tongue or a language of home, and one more is features and natural. So we shall see the first term, what is mother tongue here. So it is a technical term used by the linguist. So mother tongue is a technical term which is used by the linguist to designate the language of the child learns at a birth. Yes. So the child learns at birth one language. So that language is called as a mother tongue, which is learning from the mother. Or else we can call it as a language of home also. Today, with mixed marriages becoming common, the language that the child picks up with ease at the beginning of its life need to be a language of his or her mother. The language shared by the parents, which could be totally different from either of the parents or partners' language. So we knew that mixed marriages are common. So what is mixed marriages? Marrying one language person to another language person. So when they marry with a different nation or different state or different country or different region person, so they might have differences in languages. They might have differences in their languages. So example, we can see one example here. Imagine a child born in America to an Indian couple. The Indian couple living in America, and their husband speak the Punjabi. The husband is Punjabi and wife is Marathi. So wife is from Maharashtra, husband is from Punjab. Punjab speaks Punjabi languages and wife speaks Marathi languages. And the two often speak either English or Hindi, or else Marathi also we can select. The child naturally picks up one or both languages. So what is happening here? The child may learn the Punjabi language or else Marathi language. Otherwise, he can go with the English languages also. So these languages becomes mother tongue. Then what happens here? The child, whatever the language picks up, so that language becomes as a mother tongue. He may pick one language or both languages. Mother tongue is rightly called the first language. So, exactly. The child learns at home one language. So, he learns at first. So, whatever the language he learns at first, that language is called as a first language of the child. And often this language referred as a home language also. We can call it as a home language. And there are other two terms which is called as a features and natural. So, we will discuss about features and natural in a later. So now we focus on our attention, language as a means of communication and thinking. So we knew that language is a language, we call it as a means of communication and thinking. And the language was born with the human beings and it has developed immensely over a long period of time. Exactly. Language we use for what purpose? We use for communication purpose. We use for communication purpose, and communication comes from where? From the thinking. Whatever you think, you will express. That expression is called as a communication. And this language, how it was born with the human beings only. Yes, we knew that early man. Example, just you think that early man, when they were born, they might have used the sign language. They might have used the sign language, and slowly it has changed to the sounds. Slowly it has changed to the sounds and into words into sentences. We can expect it. So over a long period of time, what happens? These languages developed immensely. In the course of such development, it has diversified vastly. Yes. In the course of development, what happened? The languages diversified. So different region people are speaking different languages. And the languages also diversified. During every stage of its development since its birth, one major focus of language has been communication. The main aim of any human being is what? The communication. So, whoever the person you take, whatever the person or whatever the corner he lives, but his main intention of using the language is communication. We often say it is a means of communication. Yes, we often say what is that means of a communication? Means is nothing but tool. We use language as a tool or equipment. But in fact, language itself communication, what they are saying linguists here, Language itself is a communication and it is not a means or tool. We don't use language as a means or tool. So you think in example, you think in your mind. So whatever you think in your mind, so you think in your language only. So language is not becoming as a tool here. Example, we see one example here. So language is not means or tool. For that one example he gave as a boat is a means to cross the river. Yes, exactly. We have a one boat here example. So one man is traveling. So when he crossed the river, what happens? He get down here. He got down here and he start traveling. Means he starts walking or moving. So what happened from this place to this place only he used the boat. For this distance only he used the boat. So he left here at this place he left the boat. So the boat what has become here? Boat has become as a means or tool. Boat he used as a means. Means are nothing but equipment or tool. But language is not same way. So example, you people are living now you're speaking with someone. So when you speak with someone you use the language. After speaking you don't leave the means after leaving that person you don't leave the language again when you go to the next place again you start using the language. So every day we use in different places and we use the same languages. Means language is not a means or tool, it's a communication itself. Exactly, language is not external to communication. What you're saying, language is an integral part of communication. So we are expressing with someone. So every time we express and we think, so that all happens with the language only. So that is the reason we call as a integral part. Language is a integral part of communication. Language used for communication cannot be retracted or left behind. As I said that both we left behind here, but language cannot be left behind. Thus we say that language itself is a communication. The definition is language is communication. Language in some form has existed since origin human beings. Yes. Since origin of the human beings, just now we discussed the early man. When he starts living, he started using the sign language and later on change it to sounds or slowly, gradually change it into the words or sentences. It has become as a one language. So it may be in any form, sign form or sound form or any what we call drawing form. So whatever it may be. But human beings communicate with each other either to express or use language for almost all aspects of our living. Yes. So if you want to talk with someone, if you want to express your grief or happiness or your emotions, or if you want to cry, you want to help, hater or loving or liking. So for all the aspects, we use language only. Without language, we cannot communicate. Over a period of time, the language and its expressions refine to acquire its present status. Yes. Over a period of time, since these all the years, some lakhs of years, what is happening? The language's expressions are refined to acquire its present status. Yes. In ancient days, we can observe it. So when you see the English literature, or when you read the medieval English of literature, you find different words like a thy, thou, hath, doth, right? These kind of words. But now it has changed to my, has, you, right? So this is the way the words have changed. Means it is refining day to day. Communication happens because of language. A communication is a result of thinking. Exactly. If you think something in your mind, then you will express or you will communicate. If you're not thinking anything in your mind, you will not express anything. All language skills that we use can active only with thinking. Exactly. If you're thinking, so then you will be active. Your language skills also will be active. If you're not thinking, your language skills also will be passive. So you stuck with your language skills will be not improved. So you will not become fluent in the language. So that is the reason we should think more to develop our language skills. Then only our language skills also will be active. And language is an integral part of human life. Just now we discussed it is a language is what here? Integral part of human life. So without language, we cannot survive. So it is not external to live or to left behind. And there is no denying of the fact is exactly. We state that language is a pervading in our life. Pervading means spreading. Pervading means what here? Spreading. Language is spreading day to day. You take the example of English language only. English language, ancient days, they used it to speak in European countries, but now it has reached to the every remote or every corner of the world. Means this language is pervading, spreading, and most of our daily activities depend on efficient use of language. Yes. You take the example of any language, your Telugu, Hindi, English. Means if you have a language efficiency, then only you can express effectively. Otherwise, you cannot express effectively. Even you take the example of any answer, you're writing an essay form. You have a grip on the language, then you can use effective language. For that, what we need? So fluency of the language we require. So human operates four principles which can be considered as a philosophical tenets governing the language. Yes, this is very, very important. To learn or to communicate with someone, we need four principles which are called as a philosophical tenets. For what purpose? To governing the language. What are the four aspects here? Meaning, use, understanding, and reflection. These four things were required for use of means to use the language. First one, meaning. What is the first one here? Meaning. A discipline called logic, which was supposed to be the pivotal point of all learning in earlier days. Yes. So, what is the main important thing here? Logic is the important thing to improve our language. So, how they improved? Meaning is closely associated with the logic. Every word you take, every word it has meaning. So, how they originated means how that word has formed the meaning means based on the logic. Based on the logic in the ancient days of what was the main thing was done by the scholars means there was a long scholarly discussions on a meaning or interpretations. In the ancient days there have been a long scholarly discussions on meaning or interpretation both in the western world as well as in India. In every country means every language. So in every language their scholars they used to have the discussions on meanings or interpretation. We'll take the example of English only. They used to have the what scholarly discussion on meanings or interpretations. So, what was their main work here? The main occupation of scholars was to discuss and interpret the classical text. Discuss and interpret the classical text and derive their meanings. And derive their meaning. They try to find out the meaning, origin of the word. So, that was the main work of the scholars. That is the way languages have evaluated, means evaluation of the language was done. So languages diversified and the languages were developed through this process. In the course of their discussion, they attempt to seek the origin of meaning. Firstly, what they do? They seek the origin of the meaning and other forms of the words. They see the other forms of the words also, and that may exist to convey the same meanings. Means sometimes we see the one word has the two, three meanings. So they try to find so which meaning that word is giving exactly. So they try to find the synonyms also as well as the function words. So in which position that word is functioning to perform based on the grammar. Yes, how it functioning. And what they do, the sentence to they convey the ambiguity, symbolism, metaphor. So the function words which is performed, they try to find whether it is ambiguity or symbolism, metaphor. So this tradition has been carried forward to the present day, and now also it is going on. Nowadays, we see that we have a one English dictionary, English dictionary which is called as a Oxford dictionary. Yes, Oxford dictionary. What they do every year, they add some words. Every year, they add some words from different languages. So it means what that already in on the Oxford dictionary, some scholars are having the discussions and they are interpreting, and then only they are adding the words from the different countries into their dictionary. So it means for which words they do not find the meaning in English language, that kind of words will be added in the dictionary. Example, you take the example of prasadam. So the prasadam words we never find in English because in the church they won't give any kind of prasadam. Where do they give? In temples only. So this word or this vocabulary you never find in English language. So this word, what they do, they will add in Oxford language or Oxford dictionary. So then what happened that Oxford, the English language vocabulary will be increased. So this is the way the scholars work will be done. And based on what the science of logic has been responsible for the evaluation of linguistic. Right. Who is the, sorry, the science of logic has been responsible for the evaluation of linguistic over a period of time. And now second one. Second one is the use of language. There has been an emphasis on the use of language from sociological perspective right from the beginning of human civilization. Yes, we use the language on based on what things we use the language means the sociological perspective based on society perspective. So from the beginning of the human civilization, we use see the only society perspective or sociological perspective. Look at the ancient text, we find that language spoken by the people in a royal family was in sharp contrast to the language used by the common people. Yes, exactly. Don't take the royal family or what common people. To take the example of written text. When you see the written text, the language will be official. But when you speak or when you use a spoken language, the language will be different, common language. Spoken language will be different and written language will be different. And even when you watch the movies, Telugu movies or Hindi movies or whatever the movies. So in the movies, you see the what is that official? They use the official language to have a conversation or to have a communication. But in a reality, we with our friends, we have a rough language or our slang with the common people. So that is the contrast. That is the sharp contrast. That is called as a sharp contrast between the royal family to the common people. Example of this can be found in a Sanskrit literature or in place of Shakespeare. Yes, when you watch the Shakespeare plays, you find what is that a difficult terminology, which is called as a royal language. Even in Sanskrit literature also you find difficult words. Based on this literature, what they are doing, the scholars are designing the courses. The scholars are designing the courses based on the sound principles. I'll give you the examples of GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, right? These kind of courses we see. So they, how do they define the based on the sound principles, like based on accent? So then they design the courses. This is one example. So a special field of linguistics is called as a sociolinguistic, which deals with the aspects of language, and we today use terms such as social competency and communicative competency. We are using some terms which is called as a social competency and communicative competency to for what purpose? To represent the facility with which a person can use a language. Language used in its varied form. Yes, we use the language in a varied form, in a different form. And it has also helped the linguistic to develop specialized courses based on functions our language performs. Yes, just now we discussed different courses are formed based on their functions. Now we see the understanding. What is understanding? Understanding a language is a complementary part to expression. Yes. If we don't understand the language, we can't express or we can't respond. Understanding and expression together achieve a communication. So if you're not understanding, you can't express. If you can't express, there is no communication, which is the primary goal of any language. Yes, communication is the primary goal of any language. What is communication? Understanding and expressing. While using language communication, there are two participants. One is the speaker, one is the listeners. Yes, two people required to communicate. The two are expected to use the same code. Yes, this is also very important. If speaker is speaking in English language, that English language must be known by the listener. If he doesn't know the what is that English language, if he knew the Telugu language, there is no use of communication here. So means knowing the English language is called as a same code. The both of them knowing the English language is called as a same code. In this process, when the speaker uses a code to express, the listener decodes the same to understand. Yes. When the speaker speaks English language, then the listener understands, means it decodes what he is speaking. He tries to understand the meaning. Then he responds to it. So within this process, what happened? That the two other tenets, meaning and use of language, play a major role. Yes. When the speaker speaks, listener, what he does here, he tries to find the meaning of the word or meaning of the sentence. Then he used the language. Then he used the language with the speaker. And so here, listener finding the meaning and understanding the language and then using the language with the speaker. So this is the process it will be done. And while decoding, the listener may interpret the word according to his repertoire of experience, competence, and schema. So it means repertoire of experience means, so if any person knew the language, so that person will have the experience of communication or conversation. With his experience, he will try to understand the meaning of the word. So he will try to decode the words with his experience, which may lead to either harmony or discord. If he has the experience of that language, then he will decode the word. Otherwise, he will discord. So understanding is therefore an important aspect of language for its proper use and heavily depends on meaning. Yes, understanding is heavily depending on meaning. Whatever you communicate, whatever the code you use, if that code or that language doesn't have any meaning, so then there is no use of communication. So the other person will not understanding that word. And the last tenet is reflection. What is reflection? How this language reflect to us. This tenet relates to human being ability to use language in the context of the world they live in. Yes. The people are living in the society or in the world. So in their society or in their world, how the language will be reflected. So they relate, try to relate with the language. Let us take an example. We have classics or epics, which are truly pieces of good literature. Yes, we have classics and epics also, or else epics have acquired religious significance. Like Hinduism have Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana. Islamic people have Quran, and Christian people have Bible and Tripitakas, and some other religious books also available. So what they do, these books also tries to give the meaning which is reflecting to the society. So, but let us look at this merely as a good stories. Yes, these books will help us as a good stories that appeal to us, means to how to live in the world. And even literature also tries to help. And they help us see the world around us in a different perspective. You see, example, one Hindu person is walking on the road. Already he has a knowledge of Islamic textbook. Already he has read the Islamic literature or Islamic epics. So then what he tries to understand when an Islamic person or a Muslim person is walking on the road with his uniform, or he goes to the temple and he prays, or he performs when he's worshipping, then by seeing him he tries to understand and he tries to analyze what is that the way of Islamic living from the literature. So means already he has a knowledge of Islamic epics or Muslim epics books or Quran. So if he read, then he will understand, yes, these people have to, mean these people are following this book. Means these epics are helping us to see the world, how the people are living and how their perspective is. Means we are able to compare and contrast with examples of characters from these epics and assess people around us. Yes, from these books we will try to assess the people, how they are living. Means we will be able to compare them and contrast them. Means these epics or literatures or classics are helping us. This has been a constant endeavor of the language to promote a better life and spread social values. Yes. So these literatures, what they do to us, they promote a better life and they spread the social values. They spread the social values and uphold the culture of the people who use it. Yes. To follow these all the social values and to lead a better life. So these books are helping us. So it is one kind of reflection to the world. This literature is a, means this language is a reflection to the world. Thank you for watching.